Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. This is a clip from Tucker Carlson Uncensored, where Tucker kind of reveals what he thinks is the Democrat plan, and I agree that Nikki Haley really is a Democrat plan in the Republican Party. A lot of what she says about registering your own name on the internet, trans issues, climate change issues, she sounds like a moderate Democrat, maybe even a progressive Democrat in a lot of ways. In New Hampshire, which Trump just won by about 10 points, he said, whoa, it was a lot closer. Trump was ahead by 25, 30 or more. It's narrowing. Well, the fact of the matter is New Hampshire is an open primary state. They estimate from polls that 40% of the Nikki Haley vote for the Republican primary were independents and Democrats, mostly Democrats. Which tells you what? And they interviewed a girl. Her two top issues are climate and transgender issues. And she voted for Nikki Haley. See, that's the thing. That's why Biden wanted to stay off the ballot, and they had a write-in campaign. He wanted off the ballot because he wanted progressive Democrats to vote for Haley. That's really the Democrats' second choice. Let's listen to Tucker has to say, and I'll follow up.
But then what happens? It's a long primary process. New Hampshire is just one small, heavily wooded state out of 50. Will Republicans in other states back Nikki Haley too? Will she win a string of these? Well, they're not going to vote for her voluntarily. Haley can only become the Republican nominee if Republican primary voters have no one else to vote for. So the plan works like this. Ron DeSantis drops out after losing a few contests in a row. He simply runs out of money and has to head back to Florida. That could happen.
Which already did, because this was taped or filmed a few days prior to him dropping out and a few days before the New Hampshire primary. So that part of it is done. DeSantis is gone.
And at that point, liberal donors swing as a block behind Nikki Haley, giving her bottomless resources. That's already happening right now. And then critically, Donald Trump goes to jail. And that could happen too, to be honest. And at that,
do you really think one of these charges against Trump is going to be found guilty? It's just the law of averages, especially with the jury pool, Washington, D.C., New York City, Atlanta. He may not. It may happen after the primaries or even after the general election, but I doubt it. They have to have their guilty verdict before November. And that's their plan.
At that point, bam, Nikki Haley wins the Republican nomination by default. Now, it's not a foolproof plan. A lot could go wrong. But at this point, it's the only plan. It's all that Democrats have. Joe Biden is going to have a very hard time getting reelected, much less serving another term. It's impossible to imagine that. Yet the party cannot replace him because that would leave Kamala Harris, who is even more unpopular than he is. Because Harris is a member of the new master race, she cannot be booted off a presidential ticket. She must be shown maximum respect at all times, no matter what she says or does.
That's true. Kamala Harris is absolutely worthless. I've seen worthless vice presidents before in history, read about them and seen them in my lifetime. And I'll tell you, the woman's a dope. I'm sorry. I have no idea how she passed law school. I have no idea how she became Attorney General of California, let alone senator. There's some scuttlebutt of how she advanced, but we won't go into that now. But it only goes so far. Did she use her race to her advantage? You betcha. And that's what progressive Democrats do. Now, that being said, she wouldn't walk away. I wouldn't walk away if I was her. You get rid of Joe Biden, I'm the heir apparent. Or she makes a deal that says, listen, Joe Biden announces his resignation due to health reasons and blah, 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 blah. I'll take the deal for the next 10, 11 months to be the president, and I won't run. And you can pick and choose who you want. Now, would you make that deal if you were Kamala Harris, the first woman, the first non-white woman to be president of the United States? That's tempting. And then the Democrats can pick and choose who they want. I mean, their bench is not very deep. Who do they have? Michelle Obama, Gavin Newsom, the governor of Illinois, the governor of Michigan. I mean, there's probably two or three others. and it's going to be a real short time frame because Biden is going to wait. If he does announce he's resigning, or he's not going to say he's resigning, he's leaving with a heavy heart due to his age and health conditions, and the doctor suggested, and then we sat down with my family and blah, 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 blah. I don't want to leave, but I'm doing this for the American people, and did. I could almost write the speech for him. But that's what's going to happen. Then automatically Nikki Haley becomes the Republican candidate if Trump does go to jail, and the Democrats get to pick who else they want to run. So they have their own progressive Democrat on the Democrat ticket, and they have a progressive Democrat on the Republican ticket. It's very interesting. Now, there's a lot of moving parts, to be sure. And like Tucker said, I don't think they have any other choice. They did what they did to have to beat Donald Trump. I can't go into detail because this website won't allow it. But now they're stuck. They're the dog that was barking at the moving car and caught it. Now what do you do? Let's listen.
And so that means the Democratic Party is stuck with two fatally unpopular candidates. It's their doing, of course, but it's a massive problem. They can't get out of it. So their only option at this point is to run a Republican who has the same views as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And that is exactly what they're doing right now, no matter what they tell you. And that candidate's name is Nikki Haley.
And that's true. That's exactly right, Tucker. Talk about democracy and republics and choices of voters. They're taking your choice away. They're taking your choices away. I think the only reason why Joe Biden raised hell in New Hampshire because they wanted South Carolina to be first for primary because they would do better there. Nikki Haley would do better because that's her home state. She used to be governor. But the fact of the matter is they wanted all the Democrats, especially the progressive Democrats in New Hampshire, to vote for Nikki Haley. There's small numbers. You don't need a lot of people to do well in a small state like that. And you can see with only the 10-point advantage that President Trump had. I think he stayed off the ballot on purpose. They said, well, he stayed off the ballot to teach New Hampshire a lesson. The DNC told him to move the calendar, but New Hampshire's always the first in the nation, and they refused. They told him up yours. So this is their way of getting back. But then they thought, wait a minute. Let's get the Democrats, especially the progressive ones, to come out and vote for Nikki Haley. We can use our own people to get rid of Donald Trump. And now Nikki Haley, even though she lost New Hampshire, and she's going to lose South Carolina, her home state, when she was governor, and she's going to be getting unlimited funds. They're going to come pouring in to keep her in the race. Even if you don't see a path forward, like DeSantis said, we don't see a path forward for winning the primary elections and becoming the nominee, Nikki Haley doesn't have to worry about it because she'll have unlimited funds coming from the Democrat side. This is so screwed up, I can't even tell you. It's so amazing to me. So if Donald Trump does go to jail, which I don't think he will, I think that's ridiculous, but the slim chance that he does, the American people will have two choices. The hand-picked Democrat, that's the progressive Democrat, and the Republican progressive Democrat, Nikki Haley. This is so screwed up, I can't even tell you. This is so ridiculous. And what are they going to do? If Haley is a nominee and say Gavin Newsom is a Democrat nominee, Republicans are going to stay home on Election Day in November. And the Democrats win the White House again. Again. It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me. Will the Republicans vote for Nikki Haley because they just can't stand a progressive Democrat? Then we'll get a progressive Republican. Only hope, the only hope in November, if Donald Trump is on the ballot for president of the United States as the Republican nominee. And the Democrats will do everything in their power, lawful and otherwise, moral and immoral, every trick they can muster to stop him from being the nominee. And that right there, even without Trump's policies, if the Democrats, the progressive Democrats, want him gone, that's reason enough for you to vote for him. That's just my opinion. And I've always been a Trump supporter since 2016. Maybe not the beginning, but I warmed up to him real quick. So there you have it, folks. Tucker is absolutely right. The Democrats, by chicanery maneuvering, are taking our choices away. We get a real progressive Democrat, or we get a three-quarter progressive Democrat. Boy, what a great set of choices. Donald Trump is the only one that can stop these people. The only one that can stop these people from taking over the White House again. And we have to go through another 4 years of misery, financial, moral, and everything else. And watch this country, the once most richest, most powerful country in the world, in the history of the world, slowly deteriorate as millions more cross the border. That's what's going to happen. To all you anti-Trump derangement syndrome people out there, that's your future. You want to burn the whole thing down just to keep Donald Trump out. Well, have at it. And when your grandkids ask you what happened, it'll be interesting for you to explain. Until the next time, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.